Today I'm going to talk about why I'm leaving the USA and why actually I was only here for 6 weeks. I've been traveling all over the world since 2007, and I just came back to take care of some business, one of which was remodeling this apartment. I've cleaned the blinds, I've repainted the walls and the trim. I'm not showing you the floor because I'm packing right now. It's a disaster area. I'm in the middle of packing, but I've refinished the floors here. Now, one of my subscribers made a comment about how fourplexes are a bad idea, and I realized there was some information I left out of that, which I'm going to tell you after I'm done showing you this one-bedroom apartment in my fourplex. And so this building was built in 1910, and it's in a very good area of the city it's in. Anyway, I'll show it to you. It's a very old building. It's 111 years old now. It's a kitchen, oven, fridge. Anyway, it's when I bought this place, this unit rented for, I think it was around $650. And now it should rent for somewhere between $1,200 and $1,400. And it's been about 15 years ago that I bought it. I bought it about, I guess it's longer than that. I bought it maybe 2 or 3 years before I left the USA, maybe 2005, 2004, something like that. Anyway, it's all ready to go. And so I'm leaving today. I'm going to the airport, jumping on a jet. But I want to tell you a little bit about why I left the USA and why I still believe a fourplex is a good investment, despite the comment that I made, which I really appreciate when people make comments that are negative. It makes me think about what's missing from a video if indeed I left information out. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. Okay, so my subscriber raised the great question. He said that fourplexes have more turnover than single-family homes. A turnover is when a tenant moves out and someone else moves in. And in general, he's right. And that's the information I left out that I want to tell you now. See, if you're going to buy a fourplex, you want to buy it in an area, in a desirable area, in a really good part of town. And so what that means is it's probably an area that you suspect is going to gentrify or become more expensive over the coming years. And the way gentrification works is usually there's a part of town, in whatever town you're in, where artists and creative type people move to because they like to be near each other. And they're usually areas that are up and coming. And when enough of them start to move there, it draws money. Because people are interested in being around creative types. And so what happens is, over the years, the rents go up, and the area becomes too expensive for the artists that originally made the area popular. But since your goal is to have a place where the rents are stable and you get a really good clientele, that's okay for you. It's selfish, of course, but that's what you want to do. You want to look for neighborhoods that are up and coming. So, like this neighborhood where I'm in is an up and coming neighborhood. In fact, I would say it's probably one of the top 3 neighborhoods in this town, and because of that, the rents have gone up. Like when I bought the place, the fourplex, the rents were about $650 a month. And now they're substantially more. They're run around $1,200 to $1,400 a month for one-bedroom apartments in this area, and actually even more in some cases. I don't know what my averages are. Like I said, I have a manager that takes care of all this, but let's say they rent for $1,200 each average. That's $4,800 per month income. Now, the person who said there's too much turnover in fourplexes, their point is very good. And that's the problem with going in. See, most fourplexes are in what I would call maybe less desirable neighborhoods, the rents are fairly low, and the types of jobs that people do don't allow them to pay more. And so you want to get into a gentrifying area. If you get into that kind of area, what you get are people that earn more money, and they take better care of things. There's less turnover, and so that's an important part that I missed. You don't want to just buy any old fourplex. You want to get one in a really good area town that has like an artist type community that's known for its creativity. You don't want to just be in some lunch bucket neighborhood, and because then he's right, you will have people that have trouble paying their rent. You'll have to evict people. You'll have a lot of turnover, and so that's something I should have mentioned in my previous video. So I'm leaving the USA again for the 10th time. You see, whenever, not every time, but often when one of these units becomes vacant and I have to come back to the US for some kind of business or whatever, I come back and I turn the unit myself, which means paint it, get it ready for the next tenant. That's maybe a third of the time. Normally, I don't get that many turnovers. I would suspect on average I get one every second or third year out of 4 units. And that's kind of a good thing. The person who left the comment also said he's had the same tenant in both houses. His idea is to buy single family. He's saying there's less turnover. But he also mentions in his comment that he's only raised the rent once in 12 years, $100. Well, that's good. I mean, that he's keeping his tenants, low turnover. But $100 rents, my rents have gone from like $650 to $1,200. So, you know, a little turnover is good because you go in there, you clean it up, and then you go market rates every time there's a turnover. So I would say you probably want a turnover at least every 3 or 4 years in each unit. So now I'm walking to public transportation. You know, I always talk about that in my videos, how really you need to, how one of the problems with the US is they don't have public transportation here that really works. I'm going 8.5 miles on public transportation in the US, and you know how long it's going to take me? An hour and 20 minutes. But if I were somewhere else in the world, Europe or most other parts of the world, I could get 8 miles in 20 to 40 minutes. It's just that the US hasn't really taken to the whole concept of public transportation well. It's just not done well here. So I'm always leaving the US. I come back maybe every other year or so and see family and take care of some business here and there. But it's usually for a few weeks, sometimes a few months. But normally I'm back out of there, and I leave tonight. 11:55 p.m. So why did I leave the USA? I just like to travel. I like to see the world. I'm not really going away from things. I'm going towards things. The USA is a great place. It does have its limitations. I've done videos before about how the US has its limitations, and I'll put a link to one of those videos below too. But the US it's, if you will, my mother. It's my motherland. I was born here, and it has problems, just like every other country in the world has problems. But overall, it's an interesting place to explore. It's just that I've explored all of the U.S. I've been here, you know, my whole life. I left when I was, I guess, 46, and now I'm 60. I'll be 61 early next week, and I wanted to see the rest of the world. You know, that's why I'm leaving the U.S. And also, if you the U.S., a lot of the cities are they have a lot of similarities. Whereas if you travel around the world, the countries are quite different. So it's like experiencing new worlds every time you go to a new country. Whereas if you just pop around the U.S., it's fascinating, no doubt, but you just don't see the variances in food, architecture, museums, music, there really is an amazing world out there that you're not going to experience if unless you get out of the country and look around a little bit. So that's what I'm up to. I really enjoy living outside my home country. It's not because it's because it's the U.S. The U.S. definitely has its challenges, but I'm going towards the world. I'm not running from the U.S. In a general sense. But if you're really curious about why, from an outsider's perspective, I've been outside the U.S. now for 14 years. If you're interested in why it's, why I leave so soon when I come back, I'll put a link below for you so you can see some of the challenges that I see when I come back to the U.S. after being gone for so long. Yeah, so when I got divorced, it was time to buy real estate again because you can deduct the interest and you can, so it's a tax benefit to it. And I looked at a loft in a really cool part of town, and the loft was going to be just crazy with this association fees and everything. It was just going to be super expensive. I think around maybe $1,800 a month for the mortgage payment, and if I had to rent it, we would have rented for like maybe $1,200. And then I thought, that seems dumb. If I got a job in another town, I'd have to eat what is $600 a month in negative cash flow. And so I had this idea, well, maybe I'll look at Fourplex. Let's see what the negative cash flow would be on that. And because you live in one unit and you're renting out the other 3 units, the price per door is much lower. That loft would have, I don't remember exactly what it would have cost, but the price per door, I think, was like 30% or 70% off. So you're getting 4 doors for really just a little more than the one loft would have been in the really cool area. And so it just made sense, rather than just be, Mr. Big Deal and have this really cool loft, to just have this kind of a dumpy fourplex, but very old and charming in an area of town that was up and coming, a gentrifying area, and kind of a fun, funky area, very young feeling, instead of the yuppie loft kind of area. And it worked out really well. It's paying for my life now. The other thing cool about the fourplex is that it's a big old fourplex, and it has an entire basement, and I'm able to store things in the basement. So I have a minimalist apartment there. There's a small retro couch and kitchenette, pots and pans, everything I need to play house for a month or two. Here I was coming back to clean up a condo, or I'm sorry, one of the apartments that went vacant, and so I didn't want all that there getting dusty and painted on and all that, so I just slept on a blow-up mattress, which I also have down there, along with a very nice queen mattress. But it's great because all of that personal stuff, like you're wondering, if I put it in storage, what do I do with it? You just throw it down in the basement, lock it up, and then whenever you're there, boom, instant house, instant minimalist apartment in a great area. And I wouldn't say free rent, but it's not really free because while you're living there, you can't collect the rent on that 4th unit. So that's one of the other benefits. I've talked about how if you do have to come home, you have this fourplex. You can live in one of the units and just collect the rent on the other 3, and probably are going to have enough money to survive off that, in addition to your Social Security or your 401k or whatever else you put together for retirement. It may be more than enough. Whereas if you had the 2 houses in the condo, if you had to move back into the condo or one of the houses, whatever the rent is on that place, you only have 3 now, and so maybe if the condo out of 3,000, maybe the condo is 700, so now you only have 2,300 Whereas on one of these fourplexes, it's 4,800 income. If you had to move back into it, at 1,200 each, you're looking at 3,600 income. So, and it's one site, so if it needs to be painted, it's one building that needs to be painted. If it needs some work, it's one place. You're not running repairs on 3 different places that each have, I mean, you have the inside of it, you know, 4 refrigerators, 4 stoves, all that stuff, but you don't have the grounds and exterior and roofing for you know, 3 or 4 different units. So, hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Click the link in the notes below this video to get a copy of this content. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of retired cheap reports all over the world and our hobby income course that we just released. Thanks so much.